Previously on Supernatural.
Boogans howl in a moonless night, piecing lesser pets with fright. Except for those in skinny jeans, two duck-faced hunks called Sam and Dean, hunting evil from coast to coast, crushing ass and vaping ghosts. Dim lights smoldering midst the tombs. Blue steel archangels are himbos.
I was directing Vincent Price in that, so he needed me to do the lines for him first, so he knew what I wanted from him. Yeah, exactly. It's like, no, Vincent, he was like, more like this.
He's difficult, folks.
He is. He's a notorious difficult, and a notorious poonhound. You can't have him on any set.
No. I mean, he was a skull that we seanced to life in this case.
Yes,
but he was still a randy little guy.
You gotta expect him to be at least 3 hours late because he's gonna be sleeping in from all that boning he was doing the night before.
All right, he still had some lightning in that rod, if you know what I mean.
Yep,
Vincent.
He still had some Frankenstein juice in those electrodes.
Oh yeah. This is the very first episode of Himbos. With myself, I'm David Bell.
And I am Tom Ryman.
And I'm doing all that because this will be a free episode. This will be, we'll put it out there. We're going to put it out there. And then a lot of it will be on our Patreon from then on. But this is a podcast where we are going to watch, in theory, every single episode of Supernatural.
Yeah, we'll see how far we get. We'll see.
Before we die.
We'll see what happens before we become part of the cast.
Yeah. But that is our goal. If I don't know who's gonna see. I'm curious to see like what crossover, because it's weird. This is technically our next show after we did a whole series called Fox Mulder is a Maniac.
That's right.
And for the last 6, 7, 8 years,
7 years,
we were talking about Agent Fox Mulder and how he was out of his mind and shouldn't be an FBI agent, yada, yada, yada. And this is our spiritual sequel to that, because for a lot of people involved in Supernatural, it is kind of that too. Like this first one is directed by David Nutter, who is a X-Files director.
Mm-hmm. A lot of people who worked behind the scenes or below the line, I guess, on the X-Files end up showing up on Supernatural. Kim Manners is probably the most noteworthy. But yeah, so yeah, it sort of just felt not just thematically, but also just because of the people who worked on the show, like it made the most sense.
Right. So in our last final episode of Fox Mulder is a Maniac, we talked about what is the new X-Files. And we talked about Buffy, like what's the X-Files for the next generation. Mm-hmm. And we actually left this out of the conversation because we didn't want to spoil what we were going to talk about. But this feels like the closest to what like people who grew up, like people older than or younger than me grew up on, that was like the X-Files.
Yeah.
Because it's Monster of the Week, right? It's two people going around trying to solve these monster problems.
Yeah, spook 'em ups.
Yeah, and I have only watched a bit of Supernatural. That's the big difference between this and X-Files for me.
That for me too. That's going to be the big difference in the series overall. That we're just, I guess, saying up front. We haven't seen Supernatural. Like I've seen the first season. That's it.
Yeah, I wasn't raised on it. Unlike X-Files, like I have a deep personal connection to the X-Files. Supernatural, I don't as much. Although I'm already enjoying that it is such an artifact of the 2000s immediately.
It's pretty great.
Yeah, that makes me really happy. Again, I like a lot of the directors and people who worked on it, so I think I'm going to have a lot of fun watching it based on what I've seen so far. But I will have to probably, as we go, talk about what it's like watching it for the first time, and you will as well, I'm sure.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
Like I think there'll be a little more of that than the X-Files, than we did on that.
And we're less familiar with these characters than we are with dear sweet Fox Mulder.
That's the thing. We have less nostalgia for them. So that'll be interesting. Like I won't necessarily love them the way I do Mulder and Scully.
You're going to grow to love them, Dave.
Yeah, I will.
Couple of smoldering hunks.
They are very hunky, right?
They are extremely hunky.
That actually gets us to like, what is the stated purpose of this podcast, right? Mm-hmm. Like, what is our theory? Because like we made it very clear.
What's our thesis?
Yeah, we made it very clear in the X-Files one. Fox Mulder is a maniac.
It's right there.
Yeah. We sort of hit it in the title this time with himbos.
Mm-hmm.
But I guess our stated idea is that these are two young men who are getting by on their looks while they do a complete ghost rampage across the country.
Yeah.
They are serial killers for ghosts.
Yes. We have drifter himbo ghost murderers is basically the thesis of
that'll
the
be
show.
this. Yeah, that's the first segment where we'll talk about the episode itself. But yeah, that's it. Drifter himbo ghost murderers. That's who they are.
Yeah. They're on a revenge rampage against the Boogans that exploded their mother.
Right. And I feel like when we talked about Mulder, we talked often about like, he's an FBI agent. What if he's wrong? Like he's doing this shit, like trying to look at him from the outside. And we'll probably do that here too. Is like these guys go around talking about ghosts to people who don't fucking believe in ghosts or whatever.
Right.
But I think we are going to take it more on because unlike the X-Files, at least from the episodes I've watched, these guys get their man. And what I mean by that is they kill ghosts.
They have a pretty good success rate. Yeah.
Right. And so like my vibe right away is it kind of reminds me of the Ghostbusters, which is that they learned that the afterlife existed, that there's so much more to the world. And all they want to do is punch a ghost. Much like Mulder wants to punch an alien.
Mulder is also himself on a revenge rampage against aliens.
Right. They're basically aliens. Ghosts are their aliens.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. And that's the impression I'm getting so far is that they don't want to capture existence of it. They don't want to understand it more.
No, they
just want to kill it.
They're not interested in proving the existence of the supernatural to anyone. They're both so thoroughly versed in it that they're not out there trying to learn anything about it. They just have Rolodexes of different kinds of monsters in their heads, like a monster manual. Yeah,
they don't even want to document it.
No.
Like Mulder, the X-Files.
I mean, they documented it in a sense.
Yeah. But in the X-Files, it's like Mulder wanted to prove it. The truth is out there.
Mm-hmm.
He wanted to show, and whether or not he did that, we of course talked about in that show. These guys don't care about any of that.
They are
just hunting ghosts.
Yeah, and Dean, I think either in this episode or at some point, I'm almost positive I've seen him say this line or something to the effect of it, is that they specifically don't want to expose the truth because it's like, well, no, why? It's the old argument. It's the Men in Black argument. It's like, well, no, we kind of have to keep this secret. If everybody knew that Boogans were just everywhere,
yeah, the world would be chaos.
It would be chaos. Know how many revenge rampages there would be?
Yeah, so many. And
when ghosts die, do they make new ghosts?
Double ghosts.
Yeah.
We'll find out.
Like an Ashley Judd ghost, like Double Jeopardy ghost.
I think we'll find out. I think along the ways we're going to learn things about ghosts watching this.
Yeah. And the premise might evolve. I don't know. It probably won't.
Yeah. We'll see. But now
it seems like it stays fairly consistent to that.
Yeah, right now it really seems like they're going around getting in these ghost business. And when we say that they murder ghosts, often that means with like a gun.
Yeah.
And that's the thing. The other factor in all of this we will note is that it's not that they're just a threat to the ghost world. They are also a threat to the human world. And as we go, we will probably establish that threat more and more. It's just that having not watched the whole series and not knowing where it's going to go, this show might evolve the way Mulder did. Frankly, Fox Mulder's a Maniac. Slowly over time, we changed little things. Our metrics changed, and what we focused on changed. Yeah. But hopefully the idea is to keep our segments broad enough that they can sort of be bendable with the show, right?
Exactly. Yeah. The basic format will probably not change that much.
No, probably not. Because, like, it's not whether or not ghosts exist. We have to understand, in this world, ghosts exist.
Mm-hmm.
But it's like, how are they catching ghosts? How are they going about it? Is it helping? And is it hurting people? More or the same?
How much of a service do they provide humanity versus how much damage do they cause?
Right, because the question that you just asked, is there a ghost world for ghosts? I actually am very curious about, because in this show, at least, you know, just talking about this first episode that we'll get to, it makes me wonder, because at the end of this episode, what does it mean to be gone as a ghost? Because it's like, can this ghost come back? And if they do, aren't they just going to be more angry?
Probably. Particularly this one. I mean, there's
right.
It becomes more explicit. Like, I do know later on there's angels and stuff, and there's this heaven and hell, and lots of demons and stuff like that. So I think it's going to deal a lot with that in terms of a ghost world.
That's good. I think they're in a pattern already from this first episode that, like, the afterlife, that like angels and demons have to show up because they're clearly stirring up some shit.
Oh yeah, and it's what happens with their mom in the beginning, and it's like related to Sam. This all comes out in the first season, I seem to remember.
Yeah, I just, like, when I started watching the show, my first assumption, when people said this, or like even before this show, before we were going to do this, when I heard about Supernatural, and people would say, yeah, it's like two brothers and they hunt ghosts, I imagined like Ouija board, EMF meter, or like, yeah, that was the first shocker with this.
They are Ghostbusters. Like, they are essentially walking around with an unlicensed nuclear accelerator on their backs.
But even the Ghostbusters were like, we have special equipment. We have a PKE meter.
A few of us are scientists.
Yeah. No, this is like if the Ghostbusters had, well, guns. And so, like, I guess we should get into it. I don't know. Any other overall thoughts on this?
No.
All right.
I'm very excited to do this. This should be a lot of fun. This first
really
episode,
excited.
Holy shit! Like, straight out of the gate.
If every episode is just like this first episode, then we're good.
Everyone I've seen,
we got a show, baby. Yeah. So let's talk about these Drifter Himbo Ghost Murderers with episode 1, season 1, pilot.
Hey, it's even got the same title as the first episode of the X-Files. What are the odds?
What a wild coincidence.
No, man.
Directed by David Nutter. It is, I guess we should start with what is the ghost. It's a ghost babe.
It's a woman in white is what they call her. But yeah, it's a hot ghost.
Yeah, it's a hot ghost, and she's on the side of the road and hitchhiking. Unless you don't pick her up, then she just shows up in your car. She's hitchhiking. She's like, come back to my house and I'll blow you. And then she brings you to an abandoned house and then murders you outside the house.
Mm-hmm. Inside your car. She turns in. Well, I have it written down, so we'll get to it later. But I think I wrote down she transforms into a Baraka poltergeist.
She does.
A level 11 Baraka poltergeist.
Yes. That's her shtick. And what we learn, I guess we could call it out all the way. Like, to talk about it all here. She drowned her kid, so it's a fucking
Susan Smith. Well, sort of. No. Yeah, Susan Smith drove her kids into the lake. There was
I think it was La Llorona. Like, didn't she drown some kids?
She did. I was thinking of like the first year I went to college, there was a lady who like drowned all of her children in a bathtub, which is specifically what this lady did.
Kids are drownable. You can quote me on that.
They're pretty drownable, yeah.
There's a lot of drowned in bathtub stories, I feel like.
They're like Bruce Willis in Glass drownable.
Yeah. And I feel like stories like this is to like teach kids, stay away from water because a ghost might drown you. I mean, in this one, this is a weird lesson.
It's like
I always think about ghost movies as folklore, as don't pick up a helpless woman on the side of the road. If you're a horny bro, honestly, that actually is a good message for the safety of the woman hitchhiking. You know what I mean?
Right. But this is also like, remember, this is supernatural. Right. Himbo ghost murderers. So a lot of these ghosts, even though like they're, I guess, related to folklore or like resemble some folklore, they all have their own agendas. You know, we're going to have a lot of dickhead ghosts.
Everything's going to be... I assume everything's going to have a 2000s himbo slant. Like this episode, I was like, ghost babe that's around their age, their number one weakness for himbos is like
just a smoking
ghost
hot
babe.
Ghost. Yep.
Yeah. So it was like it was perfectly matched up.
Right away they meet their match. Yeah.
Yeah. And so
Shimbu.
that's Shimbu.
A Shimbu. Is that right?
Yeah. I mean, himbo is bimbo.
Yeah.
Is what it used to be, but I do like Shimbu.
Right.
I don't see why
it's
not.
evolving. It's continued to evolve.
Yeah, why not? We also get in this episode, because it's the pilot, Sam, right?
Anyway.
I'm going to confuse Sam and Dean often because they are just the whitest motherfuckers.
Sam is
Dean
Sasquatch. Dean is Soldier Boy.
Dean is Soldier Boy, yeah.
Yeah. Speaking of, the show is created by Eric Kripke, who's the showrunner of The Boys.
Oh, excellent. Mm-hmm. Sam is the one whose dick is cursed, right?
Yes, his dick was bitten by a demon when he was but a babe in the crib. I think it's something. No, it's more than that. But basically, I do remember this. So actually, I'm not going to spoil this for you. But yes,
no, don't. Yeah,
but yes, Sam has a cursed dick.
It opens with fucking Negan. Has these two kids.
Yeah, Negan's their dad.
Yeah, it's fucking wild.
The comedian himself.
Their mother has a ghost moment, has a conjuring, or is it Insidious? She sees someone over the baby crib, thinks it's the father, goes downstairs. Father is sleeping. She runs upstairs. We hear screams. Baby Sam is in his crib, and the Negan comes in. Mom isn't there. She's on the ceiling. Blood's dripping down. So Sam sees this as a baby. It's imprinted on him. Negan, it starts a fire, flames around her. Negan gives Sam to Dean, goes like, go outside, and the house explodes. It's very 2000s. What I mean is like, it's not really, it's freaky. Like the image is freaky.
Yeah.
But it's like the Michael Bay version of horror.
Yeah. It gives you a lot of Supernaturals like this, or at least a lot of the episodes that I have seen, where they will do something genuinely creepy. And then often follow it up with a Michael Bay explosion or something. Something very Bayhim-esque.
Yeah. So that is the opening offer, and then their dad it's years later, they're himbos now. Their dad has been going across country hunting ghosts.
They all were.
Okay,
he raised them on the road
life.
as ghost murderers, as ghost hunters.
Which we're going to talk about a lot because it's clear that's...
We're being introduced to this world, so we're going to have a lot of things to talk about, Dave.
Right. But the broad strokes is Sam's trying to go to college or try to have a life. He has a girlfriend, and then Dean's like, we got to go find Dad. And they go on this adventure.
Yeah.
Meet this ghost. We get our monster of the week. And then they solve it. And we'll go into how.
Yeah.
And then Sam returns back to his girlfriend. And she gets ceiling fired.
She does. She explodes their apartment.
Yep.
It's because she did business in the Continental, Dave.
And I am going to say this because, I do think a big part of watching it for the first time will be kind of, for people who've watched the show a bunch of times, might want this question answered. So far, on the writing side, this is on the plot side, the broad stroke side, it's holding up. And what I mean by that is genuinely intriguing to me, that offer.
Mm-hmm.
The mom thing and then the girlfriend. There is going to be a lot of the 2000s showing in the dialogue, but like the plot itself, I'm like, yeah.
No, it's a good offer. And then they're also, on top of that, they're trying to find their dad. So like Dean finds their dad's journal in a hotel because the last thing they got from him was a message like sending them to this area to find the hot ghost. You think he would have started the message with that? Like, boys, there's a hot ghost. Come quick.
Bangable.
Like Peter, breast exam, channel 2.
Well, I think this is going to be a pattern throughout because of the episodes of Supernatural I've watched so far, there is no Scully, right? They don't have a lady for a will they, won't they.
There is no skeptic. There's no room for skepticism here. That's not the role.
But I have noticed that in the Supernatural universe, if you are a male aged like 20 to 25, you are in danger, statistically more. And the reason why is because every episode seems to have a sister or a girlfriend who's worried for the victim that happens to be a hot chick that can have interactions with Sam and Dean. Because they don't have a Scully, a built-in like hot chick, but they know they need some sort of romantic stuff. So far, every episode I've noticed is, hi, I'm the worried girlfriend, I'm the worried sister. And they're always like a hot chick in her 20s.
That's the Himbo code, man. They're not going to invest. They're not going to investigate missing ladies unless they're super hot. They're going to investigate the missing dudes.
In this one, the ghost is a hot chick too. Right. On top of, because there's the girlfriend that they find putting up wanted posters or missing posters, who they talk to. There's always going to be one. I feel like.
Yeah.
But yeah, sometimes it'll be the ghost or both.
But yeah, anyway, so the other offer is that they're trailing their dad. So like their dad is like one step ahead of them. So you keep hearing about Negan, but you don't see him again for quite a while.
Yeah, there's two. Basically, they were like, Mulder has his sister. We have two sisters. We have their dad, and we have
it's motivation for both of them, right? Because they both care about where their dad is, but Dean is way more focused on it because Dean stayed on the road with his dad.
And it creates conflict, yes.
Yeah. Whereas Sam wanted to go back to law school, but now he's got this cursed penis that he needs to get to the bottom of.
Right. He was like, I don't want to go back to this. And now they kidnapped his girlfriend, the demons, and now he's joining Sam.
Yes.
I'm going to make that problem's going to come up a few times. Sam and Dean versus Hank and Dean. Because they're basically the same to me. They are very interchangeable. The Venture Brothers and the Supernatural Himbos. Same principle.
They share a lot of DNA.
Yeah.
But yeah, I just wanted to call out two more things. Sam, the gigantic one. He's in the Friday the 13th reboot.
Oh, good for him.
We haven't covered it yet on Mask Holes, but he's in that.
Right now, the easiest is Sam has longish hair and Dean has the short. And I know that's going to wildly change as the series changes, I'm sure.
Nope.
I don't... Really?
Yep.
I appreciate you, Supernatural.
They maintain that look. But
I just assume because this is a 15-season show that like we're going to see several eras pass us by style-wise. Same way Mulder and Scully's hair changes, you know?
Their hair stays the same.
Good.
I think
keep it that way.
I think even most of it, I think, stays the same.
Good. Should we get into it?
Yeah, let's do it.
It's time for World's Hunkiest Detectives.
Oh man.
So I want to make this clear, and we won't talk about the previous podcast and other episodes, but we're obviously invoking Fox Mulder's a Maniac here. We are not talking about luck. It actually was hard. I was starting to write down lucky stuff, and I was like, wait, no. We're not talking about their luck in this one. We can, but it's not really
Not
what we're talking
is.
about.
This is when they use their hunkiness.
Yep. Also, I wrote down two things. Acts of privilege and acts of fraud.
They're both related because acts of fraud are confidence grifts, and nothing helps a confidence grift more than being a hunk.
Yeah, exactly.
Being super attractive. People will fall for your bullshit.
People will just give you access. So because unlike Mulder, they are not federal agents. They're not police officers. They have no right to be on any crime scene.
No.
And from the handful of episodes I've watched, they seem
are
to
wanted
squirm.
men from the handful of episodes we've watched.
But they squirm onto crime scenes constantly.
Oh, yeah.
So
they bluff their way into crime scenes constantly.
And right away, I wrote down, so Sam and his hot girlfriend it's the middle of the night, and fucking Dean just breaks into the house. And we'll talk more about that in a bit. But I just have to note that the moment, like, he breaks in, he hits on the girlfriend, and she's just like, oh, okay, hey. Like, that kind of sums it all up, is that it's not only that they just barge into places, but they're assholes.
Yeah. Yeah.
They claim to be
like, yeah. She reacts to him like he has broken in and jumped Sam. Like they have a brief fight, and then he reveals that he's Dean. And then she comes in the room. She's like, what's going on, Sam? And Sam's like, this, Jess, this is my brother, Dean. And then she's like, oh, Dean, I've heard so much about, like, she lights up, and he's behaving like, oh, like, you're super hot, lady.
Yeah, exactly. She's like, should I make some tea for us?
Yeah.
Like, and it's
he's
like,
just
it's like 3 a.m. Yeah. But for her, again, it's the himbo. They're himboing.
All he has to do is purse those lips.
Exactly. Make that beautiful himbo face.
That's right.
And that's what they do.
Make those himbo eyes sparkle.
Yeah. They drive by a crime scene, and they park, and they just walk on, and
Dean has a cigar box full of fake IDs and law enforcement badges.
Yes. He says he's a federal marshal, and he flashes them a badge, and the cops even say, aren't you too young for that?
Yep.
And he's like, oh, I appreciate it.
He says, that's very kind of you to say. Again, he's himbooing his way through a himbo bluff.
Yeah, he really is.
He doubled down on the himbo.
I appreciate the local cop who's watching them and going like, I don't know about these guys.
I don't know about these
He should have
himbos.
challenged it.
But again, he's too dazzling. He's too charming.
No, they're confident. It's confidence. It's act like you fucking belong there.
Act like you work here, yeah. And they have two different kinds of hunk tactics. They basically have good hunk and bad hunk. Where like Dean plays the confident cocksure hunk.
You're right.
The
it
jokey
is good hunk and
hunk.
bad hunk. Yeah.
The guy, the hunk that's too much, but he gets away with it because he's a hunk. Sam is the soulful hunk.
Yeah.
Thoughtful. He's the hunk that'll lean in and be like, so tell us, so that was probably pretty rough what you saw, huh? Why don't you tell me about that? I know my brother gets a little crazy, but really, tell us what happened.
Dean is bad hunk. He makes you feel like a dummy for questioning them. And he's also the one who like insults people. Like he calls the agents Mulder and Scully.
He sure does. He sure does.
He walks on to a crime scene he doesn't belong in, and he just like takes a piss on the body. Mm-hmm. And he's just like, federal marshal, I dare you to challenge me. And then Sam goes like, we just want to solve the case. We just want what you want, you know?
We're all on the same side here.
Yeah.
But I think it's also that like Dean is just so cool. Like he just comes and he's like so cool all over the.
Yeah, his name's Dean.
Like he's pissing on the course, but he's doing it coolly.
Yeah.
So it's also like you're letting him get away with it because it's just, man, I just want this guy to think I'm cool too.
Yeah, he's doing piss
he's so
rings.
cool.
It's like smoke rings, but piss.
Yeah, he does them like Gandalf, where he makes a ship.
Yeah. Yeah.
A piss ship.
So
the
after
ship
they
of Thesis.
Ooh.
Thank you.
It's good. It's good.
Mm-hmm.
All piss is that because it's never the same stream at any given moment.
Right. It's all the piss of Theseus.
Yeah. So they get away with that. They drive around. I wrote this down as lucky, but They just find the dead guy's girlfriend.
I have it written down.
Posters.
I have it written down as they hunk ambush Troy's widowed girlfriend.
They really do. They just like show up on either side and they're like, "What's up? We're his friend."
Right, and Dean, and it's the same thing. Like Dean starts with this like confident, like, "Hey, what's up? We heard you," and then Sam glides in like, "I'm sorry, I know you lost your. We were trying to find your boyfriend too. Why don't you come have a cup of coffee with us and tell us what happened?"
Right, and like, they're lying to this lady,
and they don't have to like here or in the crime scene. They don't have to exchange a word or a glance or anything. Like they are so old hat at this that they just slide right into the grift.
Yeah. Oh yeah, they know.
They know, yeah.
They know the lie every single. There's later where the guy says like, "Your dad said he was a reporter," and he's like, "Yeah, I am also a reporter. I'm following up." He doesn't even skip a beat. They are so used to lying.
They're so good at this. Lying is their default.
Yes.
We later find out that he has been lying to his girlfriend for years.
It is. So this is the thing. And we talked about Mulder in this context. And like these guys, they're not trying to put a ghost on trial.
Nope.
It's more of if they were put on trial and they were like, "You don't understand. There's a ghost." The prosecuting lawyer would get up and go like, "So how many times have you committed fraud?" You know, and it would just be this pattern. They could paint this picture of constant lying that it's like, and why would we believe you about anything you say? Everything you do is a lie. You lie like you breathe.
Right.
Why should we fucking believe? Why should I, like, "Officer, I swear my girlfriend lit herself on fire."
Mm-hmm.
It'd be like, "You are going to jail." We don't even need evidence. We just need the evidence, the trail of lies.
We'll get into that.
We will get into that.
But yeah, it's like if you just take a step back and just examine the paper trail of what they do.
Yeah.
They're
so
like,
much fraud. They do as much. They do.
Yeah, it's fraud and terrorism and probably murder or manslaughter. We'll get to.
Yeah, it's a cynical way to put it. They do more fraud than actual ghost hunters. Does that make sense? Actual psychics in real life. These guys somehow do more fraud than them.
Right.
In a world where ghosts do exist.
They're fighting real ghosts, but they're doing way more fraud.
Yeah, it's wild.
Yeah.
So the girlfriend just accepts that these are her dead boyfriend's friend.
They're
She's
so
like,
dreamy,
"Well, you're white.
Dave.
You're white and in your 20s.
Oh, you're white
like,
hunks.
Yeah.
I feel safe.
Yeah. She doesn't go like, "How do you know him?" She doesn't go like, "Oh, he never told me about you." She just goes to a second location with these guys.
Dave, they're two male models.
I know.
I would go anywhere with them.
Yeah. These guys would serial kill me so easy.
Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah. I'd be bones in a chest somewhere.
Yeah. And that's, so this is hard. This is, I think, lucky, but this is also hunky. We should note that then they go to the crime scene at night. And they get haunted immediately by the ghost lady, which if it was Mulder or Scully, that would be lucky. But I want to note that they are exactly the people this lady is looking for.
And also,
they're the perfect victim.
They are.
Because they are hunks.
They're honeypotting her. And also,
they are.
Basically, if you remember in the
I didn't even realize
it's
honeypot. Yeah, shit.
In the previous scene, we see them do their hunk research in the library. Their himbo search.
Yeah.
And they look through the periodicals and they find out that it's this bridge. So it's not luck that they're going to the bridge to find the ghost.
It's more luck because we see her on the side of the road in other places. Yeah. So she just happened to be at her bridge that night.
This is chum in the water, Dave. They're chum in the water.
They are. They're using their himbo-ness to catch her.
Dean whipped out that lip-glossed face.
Yep. Oh, man. And it works. I love later the cops arrest Dean, and he's like, "I didn't do anything."
Do.
And they're like, "Well, let's look. Let's look at what's going on here. Your hotel room is filled with missing posters. For
pictures
the people who are
of missing people.
And you have this journal that's just filled with madness. Just the seven journal. We think maybe you're going to prison for life."
Yeah, I have in my notes that Dean tries his himbo magic on the sheriff, but it super doesn't work.
Yeah.
When they ask him
That's
about,
why I like the sheriff. Is the himbo magic? He's immune rather.
we are going to see, similar to like to some struggles Mulder had. We are going to see a few times throughout the show, at least in the episodes that I've watched, that their himbo powers don't work on everybody.
Yeah, I really want their Krychek to be a lesbian woman. Like, who's just no nonsense, who they keep trying to himbo out, and she's like, nah.
It's not gonna work on me, guys. It's not gonna work on me.
Stop.
But when they ask him if, like, what you were saying almost exactly, like when the sheriff point blank asks Dean if anything about him is real, he says, "My boobs." Doesn't work.
Doesn't work.
Then in the police station,
a nipple, my boobs.
My boobs.
It's like, no, sir, I do not want to fuck you. I'm sorry.
In the police station, he makes a deliverance rape joke with a warm chuckle. His himbo-ness is just so failing him here. The sheriff is unmoved.
Unmoved.
Now, these are all, like, things that he would have gotten away with had his himbo spells been working.
Yep. Luckily, it does work for Sam, who's out driving and doesn't even mean to honeypot the ghost. And the ghost just shows on up in his car. Goes to fuck him to death.
Mm-hmm. She saw him earlier, and she's like, I can't let this tasty treat.
She knew which one. Like Dean, and it's like, nah. Sam, it's like, that's...
She went for the tall one.
Again, they're a two-person boy band, where it's like, I'm the sensitive one.
Exactly.
I'm the bad boy. Yeah.
Exactly, yeah.
That's all you need. You don't need 5.
Cut it down.
You just need those 2.
You just need Hall & Oates.
Yep. That's all you need.
Guys, let's see. We already talked about that.
That's all I have for Hunky.
Oh, here we go. Oh, this might be the... I'm not sure where to put this.
Well, we can go to our next segment.
All right, yeah, let's do it. I'll just use it to begin the next segment.
Okay.
Why don't we bring in that sax, that ghostly sax, noodle out those keys.
Yep, because it's time for Himbos After Dark. Never getting rid of the sax, folks.
It will continue to haunt us.
So this is where we talk about them as, I mean, in general, any miscellaneous, but mostly like just fucking what fucking maniacs they are, I guess.
Man, these guys are. Just how chaotic they are.
Yeah, and I have the whole spectrum of things.
Me too.
What did you want to say? What was your first thing?
I like defining this as broad chaos because that'll help. All right, so the first thing I have is when Sam is questioning the ghost's husband at his like junkyard or whatever. Like he goes too far in his questioning. Like he bluffs his way in there, like we said earlier, with his sensitive hunk routine by saying,
very
I'm
Mulder.
also a journalist.
I have just to add to that. He basically accuses this man's wife of being a murder ghost.
Yeah.
He basically just like slowly questions him and then goes like, I think your dead wife is a murder ghost. Which, like, really think about someone coming to you saying they're a journalist and then accusing your like dead loved one of being a murder ghost, and you know that they're gonna write about this, presumably. Part of me would be like, that's kind of awesome. Like like when I die, personally, if someone creates a legend about me murdering people, my ghost, I would, yes, please.
It's based on...
It's still kind of a,
Yeah, it's based on the idea that she drowned their children.
Because he cheated on her.
Yeah, because he was unfaithful.
What he's basically saying is, like, that immense guilt you feel? We're going to extend it to these people who died recently. Right? That's what he's doing.
Yeah.
Like, he already feels guilty about what actually happened, what provably happened. And now he's saying, like, we think your wife who killed your kids and had this traumatic fucking death is killing these dudes because you fucked up that badly.
Yeah. Should have kept it in your pants, man. Now look what you've done.
I would have hit this man in the throat.
You've unleashed a poltergeist.
Yeah.
So that's what I wanted to get to. After he unleashes all of that on this poor guy. The guy says, "You get the hell out of here and you don't come back." Like, he is trembling with wounded fury, and Sam just stands there with this look on his face of just like, "Oh, that poor man." He doesn't fucking move. They have a staring contest for a second, and the guy finally gives up and leaves. Like, Sam just watches the guy walk away, standing there like a fucking redwood. Like, his face doesn't change.
Yeah, he's
he
like
just
an owl.
stares at that guy until he turns around and leaves.
He's trying to process someone ever telling him to walk away.
He accused this man's dead wife of drowning their children and murdering, continuing to sex murder people as a Baraka poltergeist.
Yep, and again,
and the dude tries to throw him out, and he ends up having to leave because Sam just stands there.
It reminds me of it reminds me of like Arrested Development when she tells Job, I think, that he's a terrible magician, won't amount to anything, and he's like, if she's not going to talk, no, it's Tobias. She tells Tobias he's a terrible actor and won't amount to anything, and he just blocks it out.
Yep.
It's that he's like resetting in his brain of like, this man didn't yell at Sam.
Living a sad fantasy as an actor, and it's time to get serious to get your medical license back.
Yeah, he's just it's like he's callousing over his denial of like, this man didn't tell me to fuck off.
Or maybe, I guess,
I don't know, or like
maybe he just doesn't hear it anymore because they've been doing this for years.
Or he just started thinking of something else. We compared Mulder to cats, and I gotta say, they have a cats moment in this.
They're himbos.
They're himbos. Dean breaks into Sam's house, and Sam rightfully starts fighting an intruder. Dean fights back and never announces himself.
Nope.
And it's like two cats in an alleyway. They just start being like, "Oh, what's up, bro? What's up, bro?" And just start fighting in his apartment, not knowing it's his brother, and his brother doesn't care to tell him.
Nope.
And it takes like a minute. I thought that was very funny.
It was very excellent. Yeah.
Yeah.
I just wanted to say, I bet Sam was just thinking about the hot ghost in that scene.
Yeah. Oh, you're right.
Because he was
like,
talking about the ghost.
Thinking about ghost tits. And he was like, I wonder if I could feel those ghost tits.
Man, I bet I could have sex with that ghost.
Yeah. You're right.
This is just... Sam refuses to wear a costume to that costume party. Like, he just refuses. He goes to the party as Jared Padalecki.
Yep. I wrote this down as he says, like, you know how I feel about Halloween. And like, is the implication that because his mom was sucked into ceiling hell, he doesn't like Halloween?
No, it's because he grew up on the road in a revenge
Ghost
rampage with his dad and his brother.
Yeah, he's like, you know what? Fucking Frankensteins, they're not a joke. Okay,
Frankenstein is not a joke,
business.
dude.
Like, and it's just very
funny. If you had staked like 900 vampires by the time you were 15, I could see like Dracula kind of losing some of its charm.
Right, it's very funny trauma to have because it's just not. It's not going to be understood by anyone.
Like just blowing up at a dude in a creature from the Black Lagoon, like in a Gillman costume.
Right. It's like if I don't know. It's like if we had a holiday
funny,
where,
dude.
Yeah,
Gillman's not funny, dude.
It's like having a holiday where everybody,
kill my cousin.
Everybody dressed up as like people dying in war or something. You know what I mean? Where it's like something that people have a lot of trauma for. We had like a holiday for.
It's like somebody going to a costume party in a Hitler costume.
Yeah, yeah. And exactly. And it's like, it's not quite like my culture is not a costume, but it's like, it's adjacent to that. Yeah, it's like he finds them offensive.
Yeah.
He finds a mummy costume
you're wearing something
offensive.
You're wearing something that is reminding me of my many crimes against supernature.
Yeah, exactly. I wrote an exchange. I didn't think I was going to write down quotes, and then I did. So
I've written down a few.
Okay, yeah. Dean breaks into Sam's house and he's like, we gotta go find Dad. They're walking and talking. Sam says, when I told Dad I was scared of the thing in my closet, he gave me a 45. Dean replies, what was he supposed to do? To which Sam replies, I was 9 years old. He was supposed to say, "Don't be afraid of the dark." Then Dean says, "Don't be afraid of the dark. What, are you kidding me? Of course you should be afraid of the dark. You know what's up there." To which Sam says, "Yeah, I know." Dean wins the debate about whether or not his dad should have given him a gun because he was scared of the dark. And that kind of spells out, I assume, the rest of the show.
Yes.
They were raised in a cult.
Yes.
Because here's the thing. I am recognizing that this is a world where demons exist.
Yes.
Right? But it seems to me like their dad, upon learning that, didn't study the occult, didn't study seances, didn't study crystals, didn't study ways to ward off demons. He just became a gun prepper.
Well, he figured out how to turn that all into stuff that's cool. You know, like bombs and guns and knives and karate kicks. Like, you know, that's how they're himbos. That's how they're gonna fight ghosts.
I know the timeline doesn't quite match up. It seems like his only research was watching the movie Constantine.
Yes.
And being like, okay, got it.
Or Blade.
I'm going to give my 9-year-old... Yeah, Blade.
Constantine,
give my
Blade, and
Underworld son a
Underworld. He
gun.
just watched those on a loop.
Right. Because we'll learn in this episode, I don't think guns work against demons or ghosts.
They do, Dave.
It seemed like they distracted the ghost.
Well, I guess we're gonna have to nitpick about what working means, but we'll get there.
Guns work the way firecrackers work.
I mean, the gun works on the Bloody Mary lady, the hot ghost, way more than I would have expected a gun to work on a ghost.
Yes, but like
she has to phase out to avoid the bullet.
That's
or rather, the bullet penetrating her incorporeal presence causes her to phase out. Either way, the gun works.
We're going to have to keep exploring this as we go. Because, like, let's say the gun works. It's still like in Jurassic Park, the flare works, right?
Mm-hmm.
But you wouldn't go to Jurassic Park armed with only flares. Like, that's not the first weapon you'd use.
That's not the first weapon you'd use.
Right.
The first weapon Dean would use against a ghost is his gun.
Right. It just seems like they didn't even ask if there were other things out there. Because every other ghost hunter uses things like, you know, puts down like salt circles or like has like a cross. Or like sage, you know what I mean? Or like
we do see that Negan has.
I think that's sorry. I just like quoted. I think the things in Phasmophobia.
Oh,
but anyway,
but yeah, you did. We just.
But you know what I mean.
But no, I know what you mean.
A gun is rarely the thing. There's literally an episode of the X-Files where the ghosts say like, "I've never seen a ghost hunter bring a gun before," and so like, I'm so shocked that they don't have any of that.
They have some of it. Negan has put a salt line on the floor of his...
oh, yeah, you're right. He did put a salt line. You're right.
And he's got some iconography up. I think because, let me throw this out there. All that stuff you described is stupid and boring.
That's true.
It stands to reason. Now, follow my law. I'm going to do some Lewis Carroll logic, I think. But not exactly like that.
Go on.
Because we all know what he did. Anyway, so if these two are himbos, right, it stands to reason that Negan is a himbo as well, right? Or at least has himbo blood running through his veins.
Yes,
yeah, he's absolutely a himbo. So 3 himbos on a revenge rampage on the road trying to fight Boogans to avenge their mother's explosion. Once they started finding like chakras and sages and like quilts and all that kind of stuff, no, they're going to throw all of that out. They're going to look for the stuff that can be put into a gun or a crossbow or a grenade, or they're going to find ways to put chakras into a gun or a crossbow or a grenade. And I think that's probably what they spent the last 20 years doing, is finding all the cool stuff to fight ghosts with, because we're not going to do it with this kind of bullshit.
Right.
Because they are aware of some of it. Like he says, they make a comment about like when Dean plays Sam the answering machine message from their dad. He says like there's like I forget the acronym for it, but it's the thing from Phasmophobia. It's spirit noise on the radio. So we know that they've studied some of this, but it's clear they don't use 90% of it.
No, and I just would argue that probably if they used that stuff, it would be way more effective.
I don't know.
Than a gun. I want to name, because I went through their trunk. I paused when he opens his trunk.
Oh, yeah.
That's what happens next. So what we're establishing here is their dad raised them to shoot ghosts.
Yes.
And demons.
I have, just real quick, my notes here just says Dean hunts ghosts with a trunk full of probable cause. Continue.
Yes. His trunk is a federal crime. And like, if you rear-ended their car, it would explode.
It would explode.
But here's what I identified, and I will save the one that's the most shocking. So there is a shotgun. There are several guns, including what I believe to be an assault rifle. There is some sort of flat metallic thing that could be a cross, but it looks more like a bottle opener. There are several small batteries taped together. I can only assume it's like explosive. Then it's not a voodoo doll. It appears to be a wad. Just a wad of cloth and string.
Yeah. Some kind of talisman maybe, or more likely a grenade. Just another homemade explosive device.
And then a machete. And then the most shocking thing to me, and they are there, I paused it, brass knuckles.
Yeah.
Now, are those for ghosts? Is the brass knuckles for a ghost?
No, you'd want to use something more like...
the shotgun?
Like silver knuckles, like doused in holy water maybe. You'd want to use the brass knuckles against like... I don't know, goblins maybe. You definitely want iron knuckles for that job.
Right. This does feel like they could fight goblins and trolls with this really easily. But ghosts and demons, like, all right, the gun works on a ghost here. Is it going to work on a demon? Is it going to work? Again, it just does not. Well, it just really doesn't seem like the right tool, even in this episode.
No, but it's the coolest tool. That's my point. They're not only on a revenge rampage. They're himbos. They want to look cool while they're doing it.
Right.
It's got to be cool.
They also have a fucking thing full of IDs, fake IDs, and fake badges.
He also has stacks of printouts of every case, of every missing person case he's telling Sam about. Like, this is his version of the Mulder slideshow. Like,
yeah, it is.
Dean sat there at a library or a computer lab or, someplace public and printed out every page of all of these news stories, including like the banner ads. And he just keeps them in his trunk. That's his filing cabinet.
All Dean has to do is get pulled over once. Just once. And he doesn't drive like he's careful, but all it takes is a single traffic stop and he opens the glove box and like they see the IDs. And then it's like, all right, open the trunk, please. And then that's jail for life.
Yep, have a trunk full of holy weaponry.
Right. Because
is that a shotgun? Yes, it is.
Yeah. And it's like, do you have a permit for that in the state that you're driving it through? Like they would assume he is trafficking stuff, right?
Right. Or is some sort of domestic terrorist.
Yes. Oh, yeah.
Anyway,
no, they have so much problem. Yeah,
I just like that. Those are his X-Files. It's his trunk of his car.
It is amazing.
Bunch of printouts that he throws in there.
Remember when Darren Aronofsky was going to make his gritty version of Batman, where Batman, like the Batmobile, is like a shitty car, and he was going to be like a hobo on the street. Dean is that version of Mulder.
Yes.
Yeah, he's like gritty Mulder. So they go when they go to at the bridge at night. I want to note something that I don't know what this means exactly, and maybe we'll learn more about it. I don't know if this is an object permanence or like they don't understand. They see the ghost lady and she's on the bridge and she jumps over the bridge, and they go, "Oh, there's the ghost lady." She jumps over the bridge. They look down the bridge, and one of them goes, "Where'd she go?" And I was like, I don't know, man. She's a ghost, right? Like, it was very funny to me that they didn't. It was like a laser turning off for a cat, and they're like, "Where'd the laser go?" Like, don't they understand this? And then the ghost lady tricks them with that because she then hijacks and drives their car.
Yeah, she flies back behind them and possesses their car.
And then, so I didn't know the ghost could do that. That's a wild thing for the ghost to do. She possesses their car, almost hits them. One of them has to jump off of the bridge.
That's Dean.
And then they crawl back on. They sit on the bridge, and he goes, "What a bitch!" He yells with, and this is important, their backs to the car that she just possessed.
Yes. They're just assuming she's gone because the car has stopped, Dave.
The haunt's over.
Well, the car's stopped. The haunt's over.
That's true. The haunt's over.
Later on, when they find their dad's hotel room and all of his research, like Dean goes like, oh no, Sam does. Oh, it's a woman in white.
Yeah.
Guys, did you not notice she was wearing white when you saw the ghost earlier?
You realize they're really himboing their way through it, where you get what we're seeing, I think, is like we've all worked with that person, right? Like a beautiful person that then when you talk to them, you're like, oh, they don't know that what they're doing or their job at all. They got by completely on being there. I mean, again, they're Nepo babies. Yeah. They are Nepo babies and they are himbos. They have all this access because like they do in this episode seem rather simple.
They sure do, like, Dave.
Dean,
when they go into the hunks.
When they go into the dad's hotel room, Dean sticks his nose in a half-eaten burger.
Sure does.
And goes like, oh, he's been gone for at least a couple days. And I was like, are you a tracker, Dean? Because I don't know if you're an expert on burger smelling.
Are you smelling a lot of ghosts' hamburgers?
Yeah.
Did you sniff a werewolf's Big Mac before?
Yeah.
Like, why do you know how to like gauge the passage of time by spoiled meat?
Also, I do believe the hotel person told them about this room.
Yeah.
And they probably could have asked, when did he check in? And like I think there's been a few, they later learn like little things where it's like, that's how you determine how long it's been, not burger smelling. It's a very funny thing for him to do because he sticks his nose right in that burger. I think in this part is when he tries to apologize. And this is where we get the 2000s really shining out. Because he says, hey, man, no chick flick moments. And then Sam says, jerk. And Dean says, bitch. And they laugh.
Yeah.
And it was like, oh,
yeah.
The 2000s.
What a fine moment they've shared. But it's such a himbo moment.
It really is. Like, that's the thing is I can see these guys doing it, well into the 2020s, just them. Like, oh, no chick flick stuff. The chick flick stuff being an apology.
Mm-hmm. Dude, it's not cool. Not cool to apologize.
You can't say you're sorry for anything ever.
No.
That's chick stuff.
It is, man. That's not the himbo way.
Yeah.
After Sam says it's a woman in white, I think Dean does. Anyway, one of them says it's a woman in white. And then Dean immediately follows that up, barely taking a breath with, well, Dad would have found her corpse and destroyed it by now. And then Sam, himself barely taking a breath, says she might have another weakness. What does that mean? What other weakness? Like a silver bullet?
To me.
Are you trying things out on these ghosts? How many hitchhikers have they actually accidentally murdered this way?
Right. Yes. Oh my God.
How many hot hitchhikers have they shot with a silver bullet?
Yeah. This raises a lot of questions. Because, like, is the ghost of the rule of ghosts that you need a body to be a ghost? And if that body is destroyed, that I guess that's like, you know what it is? It's like Ghost Checklist, where it's like, well, this feels irresponsible too. What I mean is that, like, they subvert it in movies, like The Ring. She finds her body.
Yeah,
it's like, you're free, and it's like, no, she's not.
No,
and like. I can see doing we better destroy the body, dig up and destroy the body, just in case that does something, right? Like, I can see that being on your checklist of, like, not all ghosts are tied to their bodies, but some of them are. but I imagine sometimes that would make it worse.
It might. I mean, I think we're supposed to assume, because they don't pause to explain what a woman in white is. They both immediately have this Rolodex in their minds.
Oh, so that's what you do.
That's what you do for a woman in white. At least sort of like The Witcher. They're basically Witchers. Yeah.
Yeah, that's funny because then it implies like if a woman dies wearing white, are they a woman in white?
I don't know. I don't know, man.
Because that implies very weird and arbitrary rules to the afterlife.
Right. It's like SAG rules. It's like, well, no, we already have a ghost in white up here. It's like, well, this is what I was wearing. You'll have to pick something else. We already got Bloody Mary up here. She beat you to it.
Right.
I don't know what to tell you.
Right. If it's a woman in like a white business attire.
Yeah, like a white pantsuit.
Yeah. Like a woman who's just like, yeah, I died during a work meeting at this place. Do I have to be like, yeah, I don't know.
Do I have to stand at the side of the road?
Yeah.
Waiting for dummies to pick me up?
I think it's more likely that it's their weird, like they're just sort of, like you're saying, their weird Rolodex of like, this is what we do. And God help any woman in white who is alive who they see hitchhiking, like you said.
Yeah. I have another thing. Later on, we see Dean pick his handcuffs. Why does he know how to do that?
You know why.
How does that skill help you hunt ghosts, Dave?
It helps him with this situation. Listen, it's very clear that their ghost hunting days, like I would bet that when they finally find their dad, he is just a drooling maniac. And what we learn is that it was never ghosts.
Yeah, he's just John Goodman in Cloverfield Lane.
Yeah, or we learn like someone sits them down and goes, they weren't ghosts, they were stray dogs. You guys went around killing thousands of dogs. That's all you've been doing. You know, like it's that vibe, which is like that, like whatever their dad, whatever journey they taught them on, dictated that they learned to pick handcuffs. Either their dad taught him that, like you never know, son. It just feels like their dad is doing a lot of fraud and
oh, I know. I posed this question because it fills in a lot of blanks.
Right,
like the Winchesters.
It implies that maybe when we finally meet his dad, he's just an obvious grifter who brainwashed these kids to think it was ghosts the whole time, right?
Right.
It's Charlie talking about Christmas Day and It's Always Sunny. Of like, yeah, the Santas come and they all come upstairs with your mom one by one. That's Christmas, you know, or Mac with that one where it's like, you know, on Christmas you go to other people's houses and everybody swaps houses and unwraps gifts. Like that's, I feel like what we're going to learn is like, you know, ghost hunting, you know, you assume different identities, you do, you know, various levels of fraud, you learn how to pick handcuffs.
You make duck face at a ghost or two.
Yeah. So the showdown with the ghost.
Oh man.
Dean shoots at the ghost.
Well, it starts with something else.
It does.
Their first attempt to defeat the ghost is Sam says, "You can't kill me. I haven't been unfaithful." Yep. This has no effect.
No, because she's like, "You will be." And I realized this is like a porn parody. Like this is how a porn parody of Supernatural would start. It's basically the ghost is horny. She's like, "Hey, himbo, I'm going to kill you because you're unfaithful." And he's like, "I haven't been." She's like, "Just you wait." And porn music starts, and she's going to fucking mac on Sam to make him. She found a loophole.
Yeah.
Good for her.
But then she turns into a needle vapor with anglerfish face.
Yep, she sure does.
And starts ripping his heart out.
Yep, and that's when Dean shoots at her. Which,
so saying you can't kill me was their first attempt.
Yeah, which is, you might as well try.
Give it a shot. Tell them I don't believe in ghosts. I know that's a Ghostbusters 2 joke, but you might as well try it. All right, sorry.
But yeah, no, second attempt is a firearm. I guess she does phase in and out. I thought of it as she was like distracted. I was trying to put together because I was like, surely the bullets don't matter. Because if you remember, he drives his car through her earlier. He drives his car right into her.
Yes.
And then she also teleports constantly. And I wanted to set that up for how they finally do get her, but like that's all to say. I think the bullets. It's more like she's flinching.
That's what
like
I'm saying.
Her ghost.
They're clearly having some kind of effect because each time a bullet passes through her, she blinks out. They're doing something.
I think if he kept doing it, she would realize, oh wait, I'm a ghost. Like
he keeps doing it until she goes away.
I'm just saying, I think the reason it's working is because no one's ever fired a gun at her before, and she has a natural, like if you were a ghost and someone fired a gun at you, you'd also flinch before you go like, oh right, guns don't work.
Oh right,
you know what I mean?
Like it's a raccoon in a trash can or something.
Right. I think it's just because it's such a different thing to happen. Her first instinct is to be like, ah. But I think if she gave it a minute or two, she would realize, like, no, of course that doesn't work. They hit me with a car and it didn't work. Like, she teleports. Why would bullets work?
I don't know. But
I think it's like a flinch. Yeah, I know. And then he drives the car into the into the house.
He says, I'm taking you home. And just drives the car into her house.
And I can't...
This also works.
Right, and it shouldn't have.
Right.
And what I mean by that is she has shown that she can teleport constantly. She is a ghost. The moment he says, I'm taking you home and hits the gas, she should just leave, right?
You'd think.
Yeah, but she doesn't. And they take her to the house. And so I guess let's follow this train of logic. Because Sam has realized... Because they park in front of her house, and she opens up to him because, like you said, he's Sam. He's good himbo.
His sensitive himbo.
And she says, "I can't go home." And he goes, "That's it.
You're afraid to go home.
Guilty. You're afraid to go home." And like, okay, you're psychoanalyzing the ghost. And to his profound luck, when he drives her into the house, we learn that like that is how to kill her. She gets killed by child hugging.
Her little ghost kids appear and they drag her to fucking hell. They time cop her straight to downtown hell. It makes a train sound, Dave. They bathtubed her.
They do, where I guess the kids also were in hell. Or something. Basically, the kids show up and go like, Mommy, you're home. We love you forever. And she's like, oh, I wanted to get away from you kids. Why do you think I drowned you? And then they kill her with responsibility. They drag her to hell. It seems.
And from the looks on their faces, you can tell Sam and Dean had no idea any of this would happen.
No, they're just like, well, I guess that did it. And my question is, did it? Like, do we know what happened? We don't really. She gets sucked downward, and they go like, well. That's it for that ghost. I mean... And they're going to leave town. That's it.
I'd assume that ghost was dead. That looked like ghost death to me.
I'm just saying, if I were a ghost, I would do this all the time to Ghostbusters. I would go like, and make like a shining light, and then I just go away for a month to be able to wait till the heat's gone. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Lay low.
Yeah. But yeah, apparently that did it. You're right. They don't seem to... know why that happened or that it would happen, and they are incredibly not impressed or like at all fazed by. They don't even have trouble with the gunshots ringing in their ears. They're just like, that settled that. I want to note that Dean shot over Sam. He shot it at a ghost, and it makes me wonder if the ghost was standing in front of Sam, if something unfortunate would have happened.
Probably.
Yeah. Because he fires those bullets very close to Sam.
It's all right. They both have scar tissue covering up their eardrums.
That's true. And they're both just like, well, that was weird. And that's it.
Yeah.
Ghost hunted.
Maybe that's just what it looks like when women in white are defeated.
Yep.
They get dragged to hell by two boys.
Right. I will note that I think they both insult each other's tactic. Like Hank is like, you drove the car? My car. Hank.
Sam.
Dean. No, Dean is mad about the car. And then Sam is like, you fired a fucking gun at the ghost. And they both like laugh it off. It seems like it's their first time ever ghost hunting based on their reaction.
Or this is what every ghost hunt looks like for them.
Right. And the fact that they react like, wow, that was a real fuck up. Glad we're okay. Makes me think that they've never gotten a hang of this situation.
No, yeah, they're still sort of feeling their way through it.
Right, because the thing is that... All right,
there's a reason he hasn't gone pro yet, Dean.
They reflect on how bad they did, but they don't reflect on how remarkable the ghost was. So you're right. That implies that they've seen thousands of ghosts, but they've never quite gotten a hang of it. It's like, they're like, damn, we always fuck this up. All right, next time.
Right, bullets don't work, except when they do.
Yeah. And yeah, that's all I have for this segment.
Yeah, that's the same. That was everything I had for Himbos After Dark.
All right,
a fine first showing for these gentlemen.
Very good. Yeah, no, they start really
They start
good.
hot, man.
Yeah.
100 miles an hour.
It's time for our next segment that we call Bustin'.
Bustin'.
It is crime count.
Yeah, how much property damage, how many laws were broken, how much service did they provide versus the destruction they caused.
Right. And throughout, I guess I want to start with this, and this will happen throughout. We just have to accept the possibility. Again, when we talk about, like, when we finally see their dad, we do have to accept the possibility that his dad killed their mom and set her on fire and was like, it was demons. We now have to commit fraud across the country and hunt demons. And so, like, on paper, it would sure look like they just set their significant others on fire and blame demons.
Yeah, because, the dad's, the house they grew up in explodes along with their mom, and then their dad immediately drops off the grid with the both of them. So, you know.
Yeah.
Same thing happens at the end of the episode to Sam's girlfriend. His apartment and his girlfriend explode.
And I want to note that at the end of the episode, they are wanted.
Yes.
Dean breaks out of police custody.
Yeah.
We never follow up on that.
No, he leaves. He ends this episode as the only suspect in 10 missing persons cases. And Sam, this is what it looks like on paper. Sam skips town immediately after bailing on his career-defining law school interview. And he's last seen standing outside the apartment where his girlfriend exploded, watching the EMTs extinguish the blaze as he loads a shotgun and tosses it into the trunk of his brother's car before speeding off into the night.
I want to back up even more. Dean breaks into his brother's apartment. Sam says, I gotta go, hon, I gotta go. They're gone forever long, where I assume she told
2
people.
days, I think.
2 days. In those days, she might have told people. People were probably like, where's Sam? And she's like, he rushed off in the middle of the night. They had to go do something. They go to... So Dean, who we don't know where he's been, brings Sam to this town full of missing people. While there, a cop finds that he has all the missing posters, that his dad was there with all the missing posters, and they conclude these are clearly like a father-son serial killers. Then he breaks out of police custody. The cops arrest him for suspicion of murder. He breaks out of police custody. They find a house smashed.
Not for suspicion of murder, but they wanted to question him in the
He's implying it.
Disappearance. It's not officially murder, but yeah.
Right. But this is the thing. Then they find that house destroyed, presumably at some point.
The farmhouse? Yeah.
Yeah, they probably find shells, casings on the ground of the gun. People probably heard the gunshots. So they find that something happened there. And then the murders or the disappearances stop after Sam and Dean leave town. To which then they go back home and kill his girlfriend, it seems, who was the only witness of that, them leaving. So yeah, it doesn't look good. Even when you take into account...
It looks like you and your brother executed someone in a farmhouse.
Yeah.
And then burned your girlfriend before she told anyone about it.
And that's the thing, is it never gets resolved. The cop, he is wanted in that, at least in that town. Probably even further, right? Because he left town. So the cop is probably like calling state police. Like if they get stopped in that state, he will be probably arrested on site the moment they run his info.
But they don't have any of his info. They only have his
name
name is Dean, and that he's a hunk, Dave, a super hunk.
Right, but like they're going to go like, okay, this guy clearly was involved in these disappearances.
Yeah, they definitely
murders.
can't go back that way. They should avoid that town.
Yeah, they're gonna. Yeah. On top of that, we get a few lines here. So how'd you pay for that stuff? You and Dad still running credit card scams? So we learned that they have been grifting the government, they're credit card companies. They've been making phony credit cards and paying for things. That's how they're making money currently.
Well, yeah.
They then imitate a federal marshal, which I'm pretty sure is a federal crime. They imitate a reporter to obtain the burial site of a man's wife, which I'm like, that's just wild. And then breaking out of police custody. That's what I have for crimes. And then suspected murder.
Yeah. And Sam will almost certainly be wanted for a suspected murder.
And then firearm trafficking. Like, some of these crimes don't even apply to whether or not there's ghosts, right? Like, whether or not ghosts could be proven, and they still have them on credit card fraud and weapon trafficking.
It's a small price to pay for extinguishing a Boogans, Dave.
Yeah. Like, if there were, like, the Ghostbusters 2 scene, if, like, ghosts appeared in the courtroom, the cop would go, okay, but you didn't have to imitate a federal officer to do that. Like, you still did crimes that aren't proven non-crimes because ghosts exist. So, yeah. That's all to say that, like... So, like... Yeah, what do we got here? At the end of the day. Fraud.
Yeah, just a little bit. Some light credit card fraud.
Breaking out of police custody.
Destroying a house and an apartment.
Yeah, the house at the end is like, but like the see, it's hard because technically it's like the demon destroyed the apartment.
Well, it wouldn't have if Sam hadn't been there.
That's fair. But that's victim blaming, I'm just saying, like, what is the soft stuff we got him on and what's the hard stuff? Where it's like, what's the stuff where it's like, they did this regardless of what you view about the afterlife?
Oh, the credit card fraud.
Yeah. And
like,
I think
maybe. I'd let it slide.
General fraud, I think, again, imitating a federal officer, I think, and weapon fucking trafficking.
Yeah.
I think they're going on an ends justifies the means situation, right?
Yeah.
But, like, here's what I'd argue. If I could sit these boys down after this episode and go, listen, I know you don't care about your reputation. I know you're like, we just want to get the ghost and move on. The problem is you can't hunt ghosts if you're in jail. And
it's true. Unless the jail is haunted.
Right. If you keep burning bridge after bridge, eventually you won't have anywhere you can go to hunt ghosts. So, like, yes, they got the ghost in the end, I think. Right?
Yeah.
But they have to X out that town and maybe that state from their list of places they can go.
Nah, they'll just have to avoid that town, I think.
Yeah, I guess.
I think this was minimal damage, honestly.
Well, let's get into it. Let's get into our rating system, right?
Let's do it.
This is America's Ghost Wanted. We're gonna rate them. So it's GTA rules. On this rampage, how wanted are they? Between 1 and 5 pentagrams.
Right, because pentagrams are the spookiest stars.
Exactly. So we're gonna rate this between 1 and 5 pentagrams. Putting in. So I think to define this right away. There's regular crime like fraud, theft, assault, murder, attempted murder, endangering lives, etc. Mm-hmm. But I think as we go, we're also going to talk about the threat to the ghost world.
There's also ghost crime.
Yeah, because it's not like there isn't ghost crime. And, like, we'll see. I mean, it's going to be hard because I don't know how the show's going to go. But, like, there were episodes of The X-Files where the ghost was the monster was minding its own business.
Yep.
and Mulder just tears in and fucks things up. This ghost was killing people.
Yeah, but not that many.
Right. But like they didn't. I guess what I'm saying is that I actually think this is low based on also what they do to the ghost, because I think this is more like manslaughter of ghost, because the ghost dies because of them, but they don't know that's what they're doing. He just drives her into the house because he can't think of anything else to do.
I still think this would add to their terrifying reputation in the ghost world, right?
Yeah.
Because they knew they were trying. The intent was to kill.
Well,
the
no,
ghost.
but here's the thing. So if you went into Dracula's castle and you stabbed him,
yes,
Dracula killed a lot of people, but from the ghost world, someone just broke into someone's house and killed them.
Yeah, while he
right?
was sleeping, even.
But if Dracula was attacking you and you killed them, in the ghost world, they go, well, it was self-defense. We don't like it. And so I have to note that in this case, she started it. She attacked Sam. And then he killed her in self-defense.
I think the way this one would go, I think this kind of part of the idea of crimes against the ghost world is just think about it as I Am Legend.
Yes.
How terrifying these guys are to ghosts. So I think that part of their reputation would just get added to. Oh yeah, did you hear about that tragic hot lady? Yeah, man, she kind of lost it and drowned her kids, and then of course the two himbos heard about it and they got her dragged to hell by her kids. You know, I guess that's what needed to happen. But man, I hate those himbos. If they
didn't know about the himbos, I think it would be more on her. They'd be like, how'd she manage to get herself caught? Like she got
how'd she get back into the house?
Yeah, she got this himbo, and then so that's all to say it's not the same as like if they had sought her out and murdered her. It's like she was attacking them and then they got the better of her.
Well, they did seek her out because they tracked her there with all of these missing persons cases.
Yeah, that's true.
But then she did try to missing persons them.
But they would definitely be wanted for questioning in the ghost world.
For sure.
Like they would. I mean, a little more than that. That's all to say that
it's actually more like High Noon instead of her starting it, right? Because like she knows they're coming to town.
That's true. That's true. It's all to say that like in the we'll refine the star rating as we go. Oh, for
sure. Yeah.
But I imagine 1 to 2 stars being like they need to be detained and questioned because what they've done is very suspicious
or destructive.
I think.
Yeah.
Yes, and then I think 3 or more stars. It's like we need to pin a crime on you. Like you need to go to jail. And then 4 or 5 is probably like
we need to call the Ghost Army and the Ghost National Guard on you.
Right.
Like in GTA.
And I think that goes for the human world too.
Yes.
It's like you are in an active rampage and you need to be taken out.
Yeah.
And so like on that I'd say like this is like a 1 or 2 star pentagram rather.
I think this is a 1 pentagram. Dean maybe
I'm okay with 1.
Yeah, maybe a 2. Maybe a 2. They're both implicated in major crimes at the end of it.
Yeah, I think 1 we should reserve for like nothing. Flat.
Yeah, for when it's really, really low, basic stuff you can get away with just by getting a paint job on your car.
Yeah. And that brings us to our final, not segment, but we are going to do what we are calling a booty count. And that is how many ghosts have been murdered.
Yep.
This number will go up every episode. It will not reset. However, we will keep track of the individual number per episode. That's all to say that today's booty count is 1.
1.
1 ghost.
A single Boogans. The woman in white. A woman in white.
Right. And it's not just ghosts. I know that they kill other things, so it's just anything that goes bump in the night. What is their booty count?
Yeah. They're all Boogans.
They're all Boogans.
Yeah.
I know that's, bigoted, but they're all Boogans.
They're all Boogans.
In this rating system, yeah.
This episode was 1, a woman in white. They feed her to her ghost children, who make her feel so much guilt they all get dragged to hell. It's bitchin'.
And I imagine it'll always be 1 per episode until maybe it's not. But I don't expect this number. The point is that the booty count doesn't reflect how wild the number is or how wild the episode is. You know, we're just keeping track.
We just want to keep track. You know,
exactly.
We want to know how many hashtags the Winchester brothers are carving into their forearms.
Exactly.
Or hash marks, rather.
Yeah. So what is the next Supernatural episode? He asks very slowly while he Googles it.
I think it's the Wendigo, isn't it? I feel like they hit us with Wendigo right away.
I watched these out of order, so I didn't even know that. Fuck.
Is it? Was I right?
Hold on. Supernatural season. People love it when you Google on a podcast.
I know. It makes us look so prepared. Like we didn't write all these notes.
Wendigo. Is it Wendigo? Wendigo?
According to the X-Men arcade game.
Okay. Yeah. Holy shit. That's great to hear. Mm-hmm. Yeah, I know they're going to do a Bloody Mary soon. And I have a lot of questions about that.
I remember that episode pretty well, actually.
They have a plane crash one coming up.
I remember that one too, yeah.
Yeah, it's going to get fucking fun. But yeah,
there's also a revival church one that's very similar to the X-Files episode.
Wow. So we got good old 22 episodes of season 1. Yeah, so we're gonna Sam and Dean fight the fucking Wendigo. That's gonna be
he's the next victim on their hit list.
Yeah, no spoiler. I know what happens to it.
Oh, I know. Yeah.
That will probably be on our Patreon, and that's patreon.com/gamefullyunemployed. GAMEFULLY unemployed. We have exclusive podcasts on there.
Yeah.
For example, Tom and Jeff Watch Batman, Spiel Boys, and Star Trek Next Futurama. Or we do have the entirety of Fox Mulder's a Maniac. That's just all on there.
Yeah.
So
every single episode. We did every episode, including the revival and both movies.
Yeah. So check all that out and more episodes of this. We also watch movies every Friday night with our patrons as well. Did they ever make a Supernatural movie?
They didn't, but we have watched episodes of things before, so it is not out of the question that we would watch a Supernatural episode.
Yes.
On a Friday night.
Yes. It is not. So check that out.
Go ahead.
Oh, sorry. Just $5 a month. That's all we're asking for. If you like Supernatural, if you've never watched this, listen to our stuff, but if you liked this, it's $5 a month gets you access to not only this show, but then all the other shows we talked about.
Yeah.
It's a good deal because we'll keep adding shows. We're just going to keep making more shows. Mm-hmm. So that the things that you get for $5 a month, that $5 gets stretched more and more. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like you get so much stuff. You have 8 years.
8 years of Mulder, yeah. There's no new ones being made, but you got 8 years of it.
And 8 years of Batman.
That's
that's what I mean. Yeah, like it's so much shit for just $5 a month. I just want to stress that. Anyway.
It is a lot. We do a lot of shows, and we still have more coming.
Yeah. It's fucked up.
Yeah, it's fucking crazy. I don't know why we do it. We also have a store. If you want to check that out, it's gamefullyunemployed.com, where you can find a link to our Teespring store, where we have all kinds of cool original artwork and designs by cool original artists like Michael Vincent Framley, Starlene Hodge, Justin Brown, and others, including we'll probably have something for this show by the time this goes up, I think.
Yeah, I mean, we have to find it. I think it took a little while to have Mulder merch because we have to kind of find it.
Well, I mean, at least for the logo.
Oh, I'm sure we'll have the logo up, but I mean individual.
Yeah, I didn't mean new stuff, but yeah, there is cool stuff for Mulder and Batman and kind of all around all the shows we do. And anyway, there's also stuff that's not related. Just check it out.
Yeah, we're gonna have I'm imagining all the inside jokes and eventually we're gonna have we're gonna have a fucking shirt of Elvira taking a dump on Sam or something.
I mean, we do have that sheathed shirt doesn't mean anything to anyone, probably.
Yeah, you're right.
At this point. Rate and review, please. That helps. That helps us. Helps us with visibility. And check out our other show, Badical, BADICAL. It's on its own feed, wherever you listen to podcasts. Yeah, I think those are all the things.
Yeah. Badical.
This is fun.
It's this was fun.
I'm
so fucking
I'm so
excited
looking forward to diving into the adventures of these himbos.
I know. It's something new. We don't have to deal with smelly Mulder anymore.
Yeah, smelly
Jeez.
old, crazy, dirty Mulder.
Yeah.
These guys are smelly, but in the good way.
Yeah, they smell like cum.
Mm-hmm. That's the good way.
Oh, okay. Got it.
Oh, himbo.